Coping through the holidays, week 4, loneliness versus alone. Presentation by Teresa Brockmeyer and Chelsea Hurt, supervisor from Family Connections. Welcome. And since this is a pre-recorded video, there are no clients or patients due to the HIPAA laws of 1996 for privacy. What is loneliness? While common definitions of loneliness describe it as a state of solitude or being alone, loneliness is actually a state of mind. Loneliness causes people to feel empty, alone, and unwanted. People who are lonely often crave human contact, but their state of mind makes it more difficult to form connections with other people. Loneliness, according to many experts, is not necessarily about being alone. Instead, if you feel alone and isolated, then that is how loneliness plays into your state of mind. Researchers suggest that loneliness is associated with social isolation, poor social skills, introversion, and depression. Loneliness versus alone. While research clearly shows that loneliness and isolation are bad for both mental health and physical health, being alone is not the same as being lonely. Loneliness is marked by feelings of isolation despite wanting social connections. It is perceived as an involuntary separation, rejection, or abandonment by other people. Being alone, on the other hand, is voluntary. Some people that are alone are not really lonely. It's because they choose to be. And I'm not reading this verbatim because it's too lengthy. I can actually provide the PowerPoints upon request. Let's take a moment to introduce yourself and mention a time where you felt loneliness when you were not alone. And I'll let you take a moment to think of that. There's a lot of times where I felt not lonely, but was alone on times I used to take cruise ships together. I mean, cruise ships by myself. And my thing was always saying, I wasn't alone. I had 3,500 other people. So I made it a point to talk to people along the way and meet new, interesting people from all over the world. But yet I went alone on this trip. But there's other times where we want to be alone because we need time for thinking and time to recover from burnout. And I have friends and family. Why am I still so lonely? Loneliness is tied to the quality of one's relationship, and it is a number of connections one has. And it doesn't only stem from heartache or isolation. A lack of authenticity in relationships can result in feelings of loneliness. For some, not having a coveted animal companion or absence of a quiet presence in the home, even if one has plenty of social contacts in the wider world. This can trigger loneliness. So, why is it so important to seek out companionship when one feels lonely? There's evidence that lonely individuals have a sort of negativity, bias, and lonely people pick up signs on potential rejection more quickly than do others. Perhaps it's better to avoid it and protect themselves. People who feel lonely need to be aware of this bias as to override it in seeking companionship. Number of unfavorable outcomes have been linked to loneliness, depressive symptoms, and other forms of mental illness. Loneliness is a risk factor for heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and arthritis, amongst other diseases. Lonely people are twice as likely to develop Alzheimer's disease, research suggests. And the state of chronic loneliness may trigger adverse psychological responses that may trigger increased Protection of stress hormones, hinder sleep, and result in weakened immunity. And this was found in the Psychology Today magazine. Well, Robin Williams said it wisely, and it's sad that he had a mental health condition that led to his passing. I used to think the worst thing in life was to end up all alone. It's not. The worst thing in life is to end up with people that make you feel all alone. Positive thinking. Think positive thoughts that can replace the automatic negative thoughts. Dr. Amen wrote many books regarding this concept of change. You probably heard me say this in another slide, but it's true. So he writes about killing the ants, the automatic negative thoughts, which are automatic negative thoughts that you cannot control. And but one thing is, you do have control in it. And then that book actually teaches you to think more positively, and it helps you. So when you go out in the public, you can meet people and you can make goals to start slow. Tips to prevent and overcome loneliness. And here's some tips. Consider community service or activity that you enjoy. And that helps you interact with people. Even if it's hard for you, just try to, be out in the world and meet people. Expect the best, not the worst. Lonely people often expect rejection. So instead, try focusing on the positive thoughts and try to develop quality relationships. People that you can trust, people that share similar attitudes, interests, and values with you, and things that you like to do. And recognize that loneliness is a sign of something that needs a change. And don't expect things to change overnight, but start small. Understand the effects of loneliness on your life. And there is health things that could, as we spoke about in previous slides, join a group and start your own group. And you might try, meeting a group on Meetup, like a craft or photography group. And you might also consider taking a class at community college, joining a book club, or taking exercise classes. And strengthen current relationships. Building new connections is important, but improving your existing relationships can also be a great thing. And talk to someone you can trust. Reach out to someone in your life to talk about what you're feeling is important. How loneliness can affect your health. Decreased memory, increased drug use, and heart problems and depression, and higher stress and brain changes. And affirmations is a great way to help you feel better about yourself. So when you feel better about yourself, you can meet people and feel better about yourself. And it can come out, to the other person. And then you feel more confident. And then you replace the negative self-talk with positive self-talk. And you can get and keep friends, because nobody wants to be around a person that thinks negative. And if you're always alone and wanting to be alone, and sometimes people bring loneliness upon themselves, but sometimes they don't. And then let's say these affirmations. You've seen this in a previous slide, but I like to use these for my sessions with kids. So I always add this in there. You are enough. You are good enough. You are smart enough. You are strong enough. You are beautiful enough. You are kind enough. You are brave enough. And you are more than enough. You will always be enough. What if I tried everything to improve my loneliness and nothing helps? You may need to contact us at Family Connections, and we'll set up an appointment. We can guide you through and help you think more positive thoughts. Our locations are on the next slide. We are located in Council Bluffs, Glenwood, Woodbine, Avoca, and Plattsmouth. Thank you for watching my video. Until we meet again.